NAUB chefs, hope you've had a great week so far. Just about to get cooking the weekly menu for you to cook along to. Remember, you can skip to each recipe so you don't have to watch the whole thing if you don't want to. You're going to get cooking shortly. We've got the venison with the donut coming up with pine sugar around it, which we foraged this week. Future menus, there's loads of stuff happening there, lots of forage ingredients going in, so check those out of course. But for now, let's get cooking and let's have a great time with the recipes. So first course on the UB Chef menu is our bread course, the weekly bake. This is a lovely stout and rye bread just here, epic glaze just on there, look at that colour, absolutely beautiful, and the smell is just divine. So this is going in the oven, 8 to 10 minutes, let's get that in there. Now crisping it up lovely, and then let it rest 2 minutes before you serve it, and then it will crispen up even further. What I've got here, Black Treacle Butter, and then I've got some toasted oats. All I'm going to do is literally put my butter into the oats, and then I'm just going to roll it around, get some of those oats on the top, like so. This is before you get it in your hands because it will just make it much easier to handle. Then pick it up. I'm just making sure all those oats are nicely stuck to it, like so. Let's get my little dish, sit that on there, like so, and then all I want is a little bit of salt just on the top, and that is all ready. That's going to now stay out, ideally about 15 minutes before you serve it, and then it's going to be nice and soft to spread onto that beautiful bread. So back in about 10 or so, then we're going to cut the bread, serve it with that beautiful butter. So out comes our stout and rye bread just there. Lovely little crispness to that. So ideally leave that for a couple of minutes before you slice it, one because it will make it a bit easier on the hands, but you want a nice serrated knife to go through this. I'm just going to cut it into 4 nice chunks. Beautiful, sounded lovely. And let's slice that through again. Beautiful stout smell coming off of there. Open it up, little clear, and then there you go. That's served with my butter, which has all come up to room temperature. What a way to start the meal. So first course for you, we've got a lovely smoked haddock chowder, really simple, but the flavour from this is absolutely stunning. In here we've got the chowder and we've got a little bit of flaked haddock in there as well. And then my garnish, which I'm just going to get in the oven now, this is some diced potato, baby leek in a tandoori spiced butter. So get that in the oven, about 5 to 6 minutes in there, that's all it needs. And then the chowder, let's get it on the stove, bring that up to the heat, we don't want to boil it, just bring it up. Once it's up simmering, just take it off the heat and then the flavour will be absolutely banging when you serve it. Quail's eggs, just here. I've just got them out at room temperature and I'm going to cut them just before I serve it, and I've got a little bit of parsley oil just for this lovely little colour on the top. So back in about 5 minutes and we'll show you how to plate this one up. So all ready to serve up here. I've got my hot smoked out chowder, hot bowl of course. Now let's get our leeks and potatoes out. Smell lovely with that little bit of tandoori spice. So, up to you how you plate this, but what I'm going to do, get all the chowder into the bowl first of all, and that is with those lovely bits of smoked haddock, and then let's get those leeks and potatoes in the centre. You see from that you get a lovely tandoori butter come off of those, all nicely placed, and then I'm going to get some of that butter all placed around. Then, just finished cutting my quail's eggs here. Nice sharp knife, a little bit of molten salt on each one. Then, just dot them around really. Just like so. Just classic, chowder needs eggs. Quail's eggs are just really nice where they've got that. Just a little bit more delicate than the normal eggs as it were. So to finish off, let's get my parsley oil, and I'm going to put some nice little droplets of that. You'll see straight away that will all split out in the top. There we go. Lovely little simple starter, smoked out chowder, tandoori spiced potatoes and leeks, quail's eggs on the top. Up next, we've got a grouse parfait. First time we've used grouse on the menu this year. It's been a little bit scarce at the moment, so it's a bit difficult to get hold of it this week, but anyway, we managed it. So what we've got here, two different types of grouse. We've got a grouse parfait, like a chicken liver parfait, with that lovely little, bit more of a gamey flavour to it, of course. Then here, we've got this beautiful grouse pastrami. So thinly sliced pieces of the grouse breast, which have just been, they've got like a juniper, coriander, little crumb on them, beautiful. So what we're going to do, get your piping bag, which is of course one of our compostable piping bags, cut off nice little end, make sure you remove it out of the way, and then I'm going to grab the piping bag at the end, and then use one hand just to guide the piping bag, and then I'm going to pipe our parfait on the plate. So I'm going to get a good few piles of that, like so. Then what we'll do, I'm going to get some of my pastrami, a few pieces of that on, like so. Then we've got some lovely pumpernickel bread. Let's just get a few of those pieces. Let's just get in there, maybe one more. There we go. And then we've got some elderberries. So these are foraged elderberries by our own fair hands, and they've just been pickled. So get some of those, try and kind of like drop them onto the plate. Don't move them, because of course they will stain where you drop them. And then I've got a little bit of that elderberry pickle juice on there as well. So I'm going to get a bit of that on, like so. Then back to our grouse breast. That's just to make sure I can see everything of what's going on. There you go. Then we've got some lovely little sturgeon leaves just here. Add that lovely little peppery kick. So those all placed in between, looking lovely. And then I'm going to finish it with a little bit of rapeseed oil, and that's almost going to split out the pickle juice from the elderberries. And there you go, look at that lovely yellow colour coming through, contrast. Tiny bit of seasoning just on top of the parfait, and there you go, ready to go. That is my celebration of grouse, parfait, pastrami, crispy pumpernickel, loads going on there. Enjoy this one. My vegetarian starter this week is a sourdough and mushroom bruschetta. Just been in the oven bruschetta for about 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm going to get that out now. There it comes. And what you've got, lovely little slice of our own sourdough. Just with a little duxelle, the wild mushrooms, parsley, garlic, shallots on the top. What I'm going to do, get that onto my plate. Lovely wafts of garlic and mushroom coming over on top of this. Now, what we're going to do, watercress just here, pickled mushrooms, and I've got a lovely little mushroom bavois on there as well, and cherry vinegar dressing. So give the dressing a stir. This is what's going to cut through everything. Let's dress a little bit on the mushrooms as well. Give the watercress a nice little dress. I'm not putting any extra seasoning on that because the dressing's already got enough for me. And then the mushrooms again, a little bit of a mix, and then I'm going to start getting some of those just on the top, like so. Keep a few back because I want some of those just for the top. And get a knife, cut off the end of your compostable piping bag, and then pipe your bavois. So look at that lovely mushroom bavois. Pipe a good few piles of that on top of the bruschetta. Then we're going to go get some of our watercress and just poke some of those leaves in between. So see, I'm just getting some standing up, get a nice bit of height going on. Just spend a little bit of time doing this. It's really worth it because that's where the presentation is going to come from. Just get that little leaf that went astray, all the way around, a little bit more I fancy, like so. There we go. Then back to some of our mushrooms. Let's poke a few of those. I just want to make sure you see absolutely everything going on here. There you go. Some lovely little shavings of manchego. We left these nice and long. You can just get those all the way around it. Simple bruschetta, just taken to those new heights. Finally, a bit of sherry vinegar dressing on the top, around, like so. A little bit of a clean up just before we serve. And there we go. That's my vegetarian starter, completing the starter lineup this week. Little bruschetta, wild mushrooms, mushroom bavois, and a lovely little bit of manchego cheese. Up next we've got a hake dish. Now it was supposed to be grey mullet, but the grey mullet's invaded the nets this week unfortunately. But hake is an absolutely stunning replacement. What we've got is a lovely piece of hake, and we've done a little herb crust just on the top of it. That's going to go in the oven about 10 to 12 minutes. So let's get that in. And then garnishes, what we've got, lovely little charred spring onions to go with it. And then we've got some tempura squid, so crispy squid as well. That's going to go in the oven about 6 to 8 minutes just to heat up, and that will crispen up the tempura lovely. So I'll just set those aside. Once our hake has been in enough time, they'll go in. And then just look at this, lovely little rich cassoulet, Isle of Wight tomatoes, chorizo in there, and white beans. That is just going to get warmed up on the heat, just until it's simmering. Put it to the side, keep a lid on it, that will be all ready to go. And then I've got some chilli and lime, which is going to go onto the squid just when it comes out of the oven. We don't need to bake that with it, otherwise the freshness of that lime just disappears. So this is going on the heat now, all ready to go in with my squid and spring onions shortly, and then we'll be back and put this dish together. Okay, getting ready to serve the hake now, so that's my cassoulet. Chorizo will help heat it up. Get my plate all ready, and let's get our garnishes out of the oven. So I've got here, bring these all over, nice cloth ready to get stuff out of the oven, saves the fingers. So there's our hake, that lovely little crust, and then we've got our squid, and we've got our spring onions on the top. So that's all nicely crisped up now. Let's get a tiny little bit of seasoning, just on the top, and a little bit on top of the hake, not much, just a little bit. And then what we'll do is, first of all, let's get a cassoulet. That's got beautiful chunks of chorizo, Isle of Wight tomatoes. There's no cream in there, we just blitz the sauce with a touch of rapeseed oil so you get a lovely creamy kind of effect to it. And then I'm just going to get my chilli and lime mixture, get that on top of the squid, tiny bit of rapeseed oil on there, and then just turn it over. See that? You can almost hear how crispy that is. And you want to coat it in some of the chilli and lime. That's just going to add a beautiful flavour when it gets to the table. So make sure each piece has got some of that chilli on. There you go. Right, back to our hake. Fish slice under there. Let's just sit that on top of the cassoulet. Then we'll get some of our little onions on the top. So I'm gonna, as I put them on, just kind of like open up the leaf a little bit. Some going over, some going around. So really play with the colours here. Get a little bit of height. It's all looking lovely. Like so. Then what we'll do, squid, all placed. We've got tentacles in there, a little bit over that side, a bit more of that chilli and lime. And then finally, just to finish off, tiny bit of rapeseed, just to bring that all together. And there we go. Beautiful hake, crispy squid, chilli, lime, and that lovely cassoulet underneath. I've got a saddle of venison now for you. Saddle of venison just in this little pouch. What we're going to do, we're just going to carefully cut that open out there. Now what we've done is we've threaded it on licorice root. So licorice root imparts that lovely smoky flavour to it. There it is there, studded right the way through the middle, and we're actually going to cook it on that and serve it on that. So when you taste it, there's going to be that lovely little licoricey flavour just going through the venison. It's not really strong, lovely. And then what we've got here also is a venison donut. So yeah, donut, a little bit more unusual, but this is filled with comfy venison meat just in the centre, and then the pine that we foraged last week with Douglas fir, we've made that into this lovely sugar, tiny bit of salt in there, and we're going to roll that donut in this sugar, and honestly the taste is absolutely sensational. So both of these, let's get them in the oven. I'll stop talking. Get that in about 10 to 12 minutes for that venison and the donut. So my sugar can stay there. We've got radicchio, now we've got a donut with sugar, so that's really sweet. We've got a squash puree here, so again sweet. So we want this bitter flavour coming through from the radicchio. We saute it, it's got a little bit of sherry vinegar on the top. 5 minutes in the oven, that's all that's going to take to heat up. And then the sauce, it's all about the sauce. This is sauce Grand Veneur. So it's a venison sauce, finished with a touch of chocolate, mustard, red currant jelly, really full flavour. Both of these, just going to go on the edge of the stove. They'll warm up just as my dish, just my venison comes out. Rest it for a couple of minutes. I'm going to be back and I'll show you rolling the donut, plating this one up. So, out I come with my garnishes for the venison. Go. So that's my radicchio and my donut just there. I'll sit down on my board. And you'll notice my venison is already out. That's just been resting a couple of minutes. Let's get a plate down there. Leaving us with the squash puree and my sauce Grand Veneur. So what we want to do, make sure your venison's resting, get your donut, and then just give that a little flip over, just like that in your bowl. See how I've transfer my sugar to the actual bowl so I can really kind of give it a flip. Tap off the excess. There we go, that's our donut done. And of course you can keep any of the excess sugar for another dish you may be doing. It's absolutely delicious. Right, let's get a nice little spoon of squash puree. Simple like that. Some of our radicchio. Get a good bit of this on there. Of course, like we said, that bitterness is going to go beautifully with the rest of the dish. I'm getting a few pieces. Split it up a little bit. Absolutely love the colour of this. All the way around. Right, let's get our donut. Sit that on there. Tiniest bit of molten salt before we serve on a venison. You can carve it if you like, but I like to leave it pride of place. Sitting there with that licorice root. And let's go with our sauce. You can see how rich that is. That chocolate in there. Red currant jelly, mustard, green peppercorn. There we go. Serve extra sauce on the table. But that is my venison, a real mainstay of the menu here at UB Chef. The venison saddle, the donut, lovely little puree from butternut squash, radicchio, sauce Grand Veneur. Hope you enjoy it. Vegetarian main course is this lovely pressing. Look at this, we've done a pressing of celeriac, potato, and it's got black truffle going through the centre as well. Wrapped in little spring greens. So this is just on my paper, that's how it comes. Make sure before it goes in the oven, I'm just going to snip down and take the wrapping just off the outside like so. That's just to help it in transit. Tiny bit of oil just on the top. Rub that in, and then let's get that in the oven. I've said about 8 to 10 minutes, but basically just until it's hot in the centre. Then what we've got here, we've salt baked some celeriac. We've made that into a lovely salt baked celeriac velouté. That's just going to put on the heat, just come up slowly to the heat. Once it's hot, take it off. And then we're serving it with a little salsa. So this is a mushroom and truffle salsa, which we're going to put on top of the pressing with the velouté around. And then we've got the truffle dressing, which is going to dress our salad. So we've got lovely salad leaves, local to us here from the Modern Garden Kitchen Company. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dress them. This is going to be a beautiful truffle-infused salad to go alongside my pressing, so nice and light. Dress that last second. When we come back, I'll show you plating this one up, dressing the salad, and getting it all ready to serve. So let's get ready to serve our pressing now. Celeriac velouté, all hot. Quick bowl, heated up. And then we've got our dressing ready to go onto our salad leaves. out comes my pressing. So there we go, that's all heated up. You can see the lines with all the potato in there. Let's get, just before it goes on the plate, little trick, little bit of rapeseed oil on the top, back of a spoon or just with your knife, and then a little bit of seasoning, and you get a nice little shine on there. So let's get that lifted up into the centre of our bowl. Get rid of that one. Then let's get some of our dressing. Give it a good stir just to make sure it's all nicely emulsified. And then truffle dressing, good few spoons of that over salad. I like to add a tiny bit of seasoning as well, just from a height. And then give it a good dress so all the leaves are nicely coated. You'll get a wonderful waft of truffle coming off of this. And then just gather them together. And then go for a nice little bit of Hake. Beautiful fresh salad leaves here. Lovely little mixture. Save a little bit of that just to go on the top. Like so. A few more just to finish off. There we go. So that's my salad all ready to go alongside. Let's get our velouté. Let's pour that around. And then salsa. So here it is. Give it a little stir. Now I'm going to add some nice little spoons of that. This is just going to, as you eat it, mix into that velouté. So a few more. Now I'm going to finish off with a little bit more of my truffle dressing. So again, a little stir before it goes on. You see how that then splits out that velouté nicely. There we go. A little bit of a different vegetarian main course there. That's my pressing of celeriac potato, winter truffle, little velouté from salt baked celeriac, and a lovely little fresh truffle salad to go with it. So first dessert for you, we've got a wonderful little cheesecake. Take the little liner just off the top. You'll see there, you've got a white chocolate cheesecake. We've got a little bramble jelly just on the top, and then I've got a ginger nut base under there. What I want to do, I've got my grill on just there. Now if you want a real extra shine on top of a jelly, I'm literally just going to pass it just under the grill, not too long, a tiny bit longer. You can do this with a little blowtorch as well, but don't let it be under there too long. There you go, that is enough. And then you get that lovely sheen all the way over. So you don't want to warm it up, it's just to add the shine, and a little trim up, and then let's get that on a plate. Like so, have a little bit of cheesecake. Then I'm going to cut open my compressed apple. So this is just basically sous vide, bit of Granny Smith apple. So there you go. So you get a lovely little translucent flesh on there, but still with a wonderful crunch. And then here's our little wild blackberries that we foraged in multiple locations near to us. And I'm going to get some of those all next to my cheesecake, and some of that juice as well. A few more on top. And let's get some juice on. There we go. And then all that's left is get some of those little pieces of apple. Again, play a bit of the Hake. All going around. There we go. Nice and simple. That is my cheesecake, making the most of the wild blackberries that are about now, white chocolate, crunchy apple. On to our next dessert now. I've got a salty caramel tart. Take it out of the little bit of grease proof that it comes in. Just peel it off carefully onto your tray, and ideally let that come up to room temperature first. So this has just been out. And then what we're going to do, make sure you've got a fish slice ready. Get that onto our plate. And then I'm going to take some of my raspberries. So I'm going to get, look at those beautiful big raspberries. Get some of those just on the top. and some just around as well, like so. Raspberry gel. Cut off the end of your piping bag carefully. Make sure you don't get the little end mixed up, and then pipe some of that raspberry gel like so. Go a little bit on top of a tart if you prefer. There you go, that adds a real like kick to it, nice acidic. And then we've got our chocolate shavings, set them on the top. Doesn't matter if a few fall down, of course, like so. Let's just get that one back up on there. A few more. So this is bitter chocolate on here, so it'll cut through all that sweetness going on. So get them sitting there nicely. As you can see, it takes a little bit of a soft touch, and there we go. So that's my second dessert: salted caramel slice, fresh raspberries, raspberry gel, and bitter chocolate. Final course of this week's menu, we've got our cheese tasting fennel seed crackers just in here. So we give you plenty of them. Just undo them, you can see lovely thin crackers with those beautiful little fennel seeds just going through. What I'm going to do, just get some of those loaded just onto my fork. You can serve these in a little dish, completely up to you, but there's plenty of them. And this goes beautiful with our plum chutney, which we're going to be serving this week. So let's get our plum chutney. In that goes. We've got our quince as usual, so opportunity to try all the different textures with the cheese, but I'm just going to get all of that in there. So you've got plenty of chutney. There we go. And then onto our cheeses. These have been out for about 15 minutes now, all warming up beautifully. And then you've got your cheese notes just here, so you can serve them all in order. Lovely Isle of Wight soft to start with, and you see, look at that. You see that, just beautiful texture, lovely and soft. Nice bit of aged Comté just going on there next. And then one of my favourites as well, lovely rich Telaggio. So that can just go on. They're a little bit harder to get on when they're softened, but honestly it is worth it for the taste. Then the long, that's a lovely little washed rind cheese. Gorgonzola, let's just get that in there. And then I'm going to come back, just going to get a spoon so I don't mix up all that flavour on there. I'm just going to put a little bit of quince, just fit that in there. You see, we give you so much. Look at that, lovely. And that is my cheese course. Serve that at the table with your cheese notes. That is all good to go. Hope you enjoyed this week's cook along. Remember, feedback, we absolutely love feedback, so log on, send us a message via the website, chat, or via email. Check the website coming up. Remember that code that I gave you at the start of the video as well, or check the website and you can use a code for future orders, which is on there. But for now, I hope you've had a great week. Have a great week next week, and hope you enjoy the cook along.